What you chase in others is what you've abandoned in yourself. Have you ever felt the magnetic pull of that one woman? The one you know, on a primal level, is the one you must avoid. She doesn't chase attention. She doesn't beg for love. She doesn't even seem to notice if you're there or not. And it's precisely that divine silence, that effortless stillness, that pulls you in like a cosmic black hole from which no light, no part of your soul can escape. There is an archetype, a frequency that some men are destined to encounter. It is a profound and often brutal spiritual test. If you have ever met this woman, if this story already resonates in the deepest chambers of your heart, then you know this is not a chance encounter. You were meant to hear this message. Let me know in the comments if you've been through this fire, if you've walked this path. Your story is a testament to a journey that so many are on, but few understand. This is a space for that understanding. Subscribe, for this is a sign that your awakening is not just beginning, it is deepening. Carl Jung, the great cartographer of the soul, would not have called her evil. He never used such simple, such mundane words. Instead, he would have described her as an archetype, a living, breathing symbol of an unconscious energy that has been summoned into your reality. He would tell you that she is the anima gone wrong. She is the living embodiment of the woman every man projects his soul into. But if you are not conscious of this sacred transaction, if you are not aware of the divine energy you are offering up, that soul, your very soul, will be swallowed whole. She is the one woman every man should avoid, but the devastating truth is, you won't, not at first. At first, you will think she is mysterious, a divine riddle wrapped in human skin. You will confuse her distance for an ocean of depth, believing that beneath her still surface lies a world of unspeakable wisdom. You'll mistake her unpredictability for passion, a wild, untamable fire that you, and only you, are destined to understand. You will believe, with every fiber of your being, that the way she disappears and reappears, the way she offers a glimpse of connection only to snatch it away, means something profound is happening between you two. But here is the brutal healing truth. When you feel this pull, nothing is happening between you. It is all happening inside of you. Your psyche is playing the oldest trick in the book, and you won't realize that what you've fallen for isn't her at all. It's your own unconscious, your own abandoned soul, crying out to be seen. This is what Jung warned us about. This is the great danger, not just in the women we meet, but in the unexamined shadows within ourselves. Because to truly understand the one woman you must avoid, you first have to understand the one woman living inside your mind, the anima. This is the sacred blueprint of the feminine that resides within the male psyche. She is the very shape of your emotional world. She holds the codes to your fantasies, your deepest longings, your most profound suffering. And she doesn't live in your conscious mind, the part of you that makes logical decisions and goes about its day, number. She lives below, in the underworld of your soul, the place where you never look. She resides in the silent, dark basement of your psyche, where your boyhood wounds fester, where every moment of emotional abandonment is stored, waiting to be replayed. She is not a woman in the world. She is a woman of the psyche. But when you meet her reflection in real life, when you encounter a woman who carries the exact energetic frequency of your unhealed anima, she feels divine. She feels untouchable. She feels fated. But she is not fate. She is a test. The one woman you should avoid isn't toxic in the way the world understands it. She is unconscious. And her unconsciousness is a mirror that makes you unconscious. When you speak, she listens with half an ear, her mind a universe away. Yet you feel she understands you more than anyone ever has. When you open up and share the vulnerable parts of your heart, she mirrors your emotions with perfect precision, but never, ever reveals her own. When you love her, she stays just out of reach, a beautiful mirage in a desert of your own making. And when you finally confront her with your truth, with the raw, aching need for clarity, she smiles, a quiet, unknowing smile, as if you're suddenly speaking a language she no longer understands. And yet, you can't leave. You can't walk away. Why? Because she activates something ancient inside of you. She activates a part of you that wants to prove you are worthy of the very love she withholds. She awakens the part of you that still believes, on a cellular level, that love must be earned through suffering. That part of you is the boy who was never seen for who he truly was. The boy whose feelings were a burden, the boy who learned that the only way to receive a sliver of affection was to perform, to please, to become a smaller, more digestible version of himself. This is the echo of your first and most profound emotional abandonment, and she is the perfect actress to play the leading role in its reenactment. Jung said that every man's journey involves a confrontation with the anima. This is your confrontation. She appears first as a goddess, an impossibly perfect ideal onto which you project all your hopes for salvation. Then, when the illusion begins to crack, she becomes a seductress. Her inconsistency and emotional games, a powerful drug for a nervous system that has been taught to confuse anxiety with love. Then, she becomes a manipulator. Her approval and disapproval, the strings that control your every move, making you dance for a love that will never be yours. And finally, if you are strong enough, if you are brave enough to face the truth, she becomes a guide. But if you don't integrate her, if you remain trapped in the illusion, she becomes your obsession and your ultimate destruction. Let's not flatter ourselves. This isn't about her. It never was. This is about what you projected onto her. You saw her, and you imagined someone who would finally understand you without words. You imagined she could heal your silence. You believed she had the depth you were missing in yourself. You didn't fall in love with a person. You fell in love with a symbol, a psychic mirror, a myth of your own creation. And this is why it hurts so much. Because when she leaves, or worse, when she stays but remains emotionally out of reach, it's not just heartbreak, it's soul loss. You feel like a part of you is dying, and it is. It is the part of you that needed her, the part of you that still believed love must be chaste, that intimacy must feel like anxiety, that love is pain, distance, tension, and longing, not peace. You see, that woman wasn't dangerous because of who she was. She was dangerous because of who you became in her presence. Your mind started to orbit around her approval. Your identity shifted. Your masculinity twisted into performance. You started walking on eggshells, afraid to lose a connection that never truly existed. Because unconscious love is a game of illusions, and the anima is the greatest illusion of all. But this is your opportunity. Right now, you are in the underworld. You are in the place Jung called the shadow realm, the psyche's dark basement. You're not supposed to feel good here. You're supposed to wake up. You've met the woman you should avoid, not because she's evil, but because she's unfinished inside you. She is the undeveloped part of your emotional world. She represents all the feelings you've avoided, the nurturing, the warmth, the need for unconditional love that you never gave yourself, and so you projected it outward. You gave it a face. You made her into a goddess, then blamed her when she didn't act divine. But this is your work now, not hers. It is the sacred work to reclaim your anima, to take back what you gave away. And it begins when you stop chasing. It begins when you see her for what she is, not a dream, but a distraction from your own healing. Jung said that projection ends where ownership begins. So ask yourself, where in your life are you still begging for validation from a woman who doesn't even see you? Where are you confusing silence for mystery? Where are you calling neglect passion? This isn't just a relationship problem, it's a soul problem. The one woman you should avoid is the one you seek out when you're not whole, when your masculinity is brittle, when your emotional world is starved, when your self-respect is asleep. But you don't need to stay in this pattern. The moment you see it, you're no longer under its spell. And if this resonates, if you felt this, I want you to understand that you are in the midst of a profound awakening. This channel is for men who are waking up, and I want to hear your story in the comments. Because if you've met this woman, then you've already taken the first step. You've seen the illusion. Now it's time to break it. You still think about her, not in words, but in fragments. A look that stayed too long, a message left unanswered, a moment where her presence felt like fate and punishment at the same time. You don't miss her. You miss the man you thought you were when you were around her. The man you tried to become, silently, desperately, just to earn a single drop of her approval. Jung called this the inflation of the ego, when we chase symbols instead of truth, when we assign sacred meaning to people who were never meant to carry it. And yet, here you are, still caught in the web, still asking yourself if any of it was real. Let's be honest. Yes, something was real. The ache, the longing, the obsessive self-reflection. But what you thought was love was actually projection. You didn't fall for her. You fell for a hidden part of yourself, dressed in her skin. And the more she ignored you, the more you believed she was the answer, because only the wounded boy inside you would interpret avoidance as value. She was the echo of your emotional abandonment. The one woman every man should avoid isn't always obvious. She might not be cruel. She might not be loud. She might in fact be polite, beautiful, even spiritual. But underneath, something is off. She doesn't see you, not really. She sees what you can give. She sees what you reflect back. She sees your hunger, and she feeds it just enough to keep you hungry. And if you're not conscious, you'll call that love. But love doesn't leave you guessing. It doesn't punish your honesty with silence. It doesn't disappear when you're vulnerable, only to return when you're indifferent. Number, that's not love. That's trauma disguised as desire. Jung warned us, if we don't make the unconscious conscious, it will rule our lives, and we will call it fate. You called her fate, didn't you? You told yourself it meant something. The synchronicities, the timing, the chemistry. It all felt too deep to be random. But here's the truth you've been avoiding. Just because something feels intense doesn't mean it's right. Sometimes, the deepest wounds scream the loudest, and you mistake their screams for passion. You mistake anxiety for excitement. You mistake emotional unavailability for divine timing. And this is where your real suffering begins, because you'll start to change. You'll dim your light to not overwhelm her. You'll censor your truth to not push her away. You'll wait for messages that never come. You'll replay conversations in your mind, wondering if you said too much or too little. This isn't love. This is identity erosion. You become smaller, quieter, more agreeable, less you. Because deep down, you believe if you're just enough, she'll finally choose you. But that hope is a lie, because she was never choosing you. She was choosing control. And now you're addicted to a version of yourself that only exists around her. A performative man, a spiritual actor, a placeholder. You became a placeholder for the attention she gives herself when she's bored. And Jung would say, this is the moment, the exact moment where individuation must begin. The separation of your true self from the false projections you've placed on others. The painful extraction of your soul from illusions. But individuation is brutal, because it requires you to see that you were never really in love. You were in need, and need is not connection. Need is dependency. It's spiritual hunger masquerading as romance. Let's go deeper. There's a reason you were drawn to her. Somewhere in your emotional memory, she reminded you of someone. Maybe it was a mother who loved inconsistently. Maybe a first crush who made you feel invisible. Maybe the part of you that still believes peace is boring and chaos is passion. You didn't choose her. Your nervous system did. And now you're waking up. The one woman you should avoid isn't just her, it's what she represents. The woman you chase when you are not anchored in yourself. The woman who pulls you into your own shadow and makes you confused, drowning for depth. You see, the anima, when unintegrated, is a trickster. She appears divine but speaks in riddles. She tempts but never commits. She opens you emotionally, only to vanish when you reveal your truth. And the deeper you go, the more you lose sight of what's real. You begin to chase the feeling of her, not the person. And what is the feeling? Longing, tension, emptiness. You're addicted to a woman who makes you feel almost loved, because almost reminds you of home. Not the home you lived in, but the home you survived. The place where love was earned through pleasing, fixing, performing, apologizing. And this is where the masculine spirit breaks. Because instead of leading with presence, you start to follow emotional breadcrumbs. Instead of speaking from truth, you start calculating your value. Instead of loving from overflow, you love from fear. But here's the brutal, healing truth. You don't want her. You want closure. You want confirmation that you mattered. You want redemption for the part of you she never acknowledged. But you will never get it, because she cannot give you what she does not have. She is emotionally malnourished, and now, so are you, and that's why it hurts. Not because you lost her, but because you lost yourself trying to be enough for her. This is your turning point. You can either spiral into deeper projection, blaming her, chasing her, romanticizing her absence, or you can begin the descent into your own soul. You can stop asking why she treated you that way and start asking why you tolerated it, why your heart believed this was love, why your body never felt safe but you stayed anyway. And when you sit with that, truly sit with it, the illusion starts to crack, not in anger, not in hate, but in grief. You grieve the story you told yourself. You grieve the years you spent trying to earn the love of a woman who couldn't love herself. You grieve the man you wear soft, desperate, aching. And you honor him, because he was just trying to find wholeness. He was just trying to come home. But now it's time to find a new home, inside yourself. This is what Jung meant by integration. Not rejecting the anima, but facing her, bringing her into consciousness, owning the parts of you she once activated, the nurturing, the creativity, the sensitivity, the emotional depth. These are not things you need to seek in another. They are already in you, waiting, dormant. You don't need to be chosen. You need to awaken. The one woman you must avoid was never your enemy. She was your mirror. And now that you've seen her clearly, you are no longer blind. There's a silence that arrives after awakening. Not the silence of loneliness, but the silence of clarity. It doesn't shout. It doesn't ache. It simply whispers. You see now. You see what you gave away. You see what you chased. You see the entire theater of your obsession. And for the first time, you step off the stage. This is the part Jung never romanticized. The empty hallway between illusion and transformation, where the woman you once worshipped begins to fade. Not with anger, not with bitterness, but with the simple realization she was never meant to complete you, and you were never meant to shrink for her. This is individuation, not the killing of love, but the burial of false selfhood. You stop being the boy who begs. You stop being the man who performs. You stop being the ghost who haunts the memory of what could have been. Instead, you become something else, something quiet, something whole. But the ego doesn't like wholeness. It liked the drama. It liked the confusion. It liked the story of a man who was chasing something so elusive, so divine, that he didn't have to face the emptiness inside himself. Because that's the real story here, isn't it? This woman, the one Jung warned us about, she wasn't a villain. She was a placeholder, a beautifully constructed myth to protect you from the deeper pain of your own inner vacancy. The woman who made you feel almost enough was protecting you from asking the real question, why don't I feel worthy when I'm alone? Jung said we must hold the tension of the opposites. You wanted love. You feared abandonment. You sought union. You were terrified of merging. You craved her soul. You resisted your own. It was never about her. It was about your inability to sit with your own silence, to sit with the parts of you that feel unseen, unchosen, unwanted, because that's the truth no one wants to say aloud. You didn't stay because she was extraordinary. You stayed because she made you feel like the version of you you've always doubted, the needy, the soft, the insecure was finally being tested. And you thought, if I can just win her love, I'll finally be enough. But enough is not earned, it is remembered. You were always enough. You just forgot. She didn't break you, she revealed the cracks. And now you finally see them. You've stepped back, you've untangled the threads, you've seen the projection, the fantasy, the game. And yet, there's still grief. Don't run from it. Let yourself mourn, not for her, but for the version of you that loved from emptiness. The man who waited for replies, adjusted his edges, censored his pain, and convinced himself that longing was love. He was not weak, he was wounded. And today, he is released. No more apologizing for your depth. No more negotiating your worth. No more contorting into someone digestible. You are no longer chasing symbols. You are integrating the truth. The anima, the inner feminine, is not your enemy. She is your compass. But only once she is seen, named, honored, not projected. She lives inside you. She is not in her silence. She is not in her mystery. She is not in her chaos. She is in your creativity, your dreams, your intuition, your tenderness, your vision. She is not the woman who ghosts you. She is the whisper you ignored when you became obsessed with being chosen. You see, the moment you take back your anima, the moment you stop outsourcing your soul to strangers wearing familiar faces, you begin to wake up, not into power, but into peace. And peace is the one thing she never gave you. Because peace can't be seduced, it can't be chased, it can only be embodied. You are not a chaser anymore. You are not a victim. You are not a boy wondering why she didn't choose you. You are the man who has chosen himself. Jung would say you've stepped out of the collective trance, the spell of illusion, the archetypal trap. And now the world looks different. You don't crave the drama. You don't miss the tension. You don't romanticize the uncertainty. You don't need her to see you. You see you. And that is the ultimate integration. When the one woman you were meant to avoid becomes the mirror you needed to remember who you are, there is no enemy now, only wisdom. There is no revenge, only release. And there is no longing, only liberation. So if you're here, still holding on, still asking, what if? Let this be your invitation to close the chapter. You were not meant to shrink into a version of yourself for someone who couldn't recognize your depth. You were meant to awaken it for you. She was never your destination. She was your detour back home. And now that you're here, you don't chase, you don't wait, you don't beg, you build. You build a life so whole, so still, so deeply rooted in truth, that the only thing you're seduced by is your own peace. The story is over. The spell is broken. The mirror has been shattered. Now you walk forward, not to find her, but to meet you. The one woman you should avoid was never out there. She was always the part of you that forgot you are already whole. And nothing, no absence, no silence, no rejection can take that away.